Creating jobs and opportunities is crucial for a community to thrive. That's why economic
Good evening. The special meeting of the Planning Commission of the City of Lancaster will please come to order. Our invocation this evening will be offered by Commissioner Moore, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Tufts. So if you'll all please stand.
Can we bow our heads? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering us here today to handle city business. I ask that you bless our staff that has prepared our documents today and our commissioners that are here, that we make open-minded and wise decisions today. Lord, I ask that you would bless our community during this time with mental health. There's a lot of people out there that need to be touched by you, that need your help and stuff. So I ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, please face the flag and put your hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have the roll call, please?
Chairman Vos is absent. Vice Chairperson Harvey,
Present.
Commissioner Burden,
Present.
Commissioner Derryberry,
Present.
Commissioner Moore,
Present.
Commissioner Tufts,
Present.
and Commissioner Underwood. Present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Public business from the floor. Any person who would like to address the Planning Commission on any agendized item is requested to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given the opportunity to address the Planning Commission at the time such item is discussed by the Planning Commission. Speaker cards are available at the rear of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes each unless a different time is announced. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the special joint meeting of May 15, 2023. May we have a motion?
So moved.
A second? A second. Please vote. Motion passes 6-0. On my screen, I saw it come up. Either that or I'm a psychic. Thank you. New public hearings. The second item on the agenda is for planner Mitzi Alvarado. It's conditional use permit number 22-01. The cruise through dairy.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. This next item before you is CUP 2201. It's a request for a conditional use permit to allow for a type 20 alcoholic beverage control license for the off-sale of beer and wine within an existing gas station convenience market in the commercial zone located at 504 East Avenue K. The subject site is located at the southeast corner of Avenue K and 5th Street East and consists of an operating gas station canopy and a 2,261 square foot convenience market. It's been in operation for approximately 27 years. There are residential uses to the north and an existing commercial tenant building to the south with construction for a new smoke shop. There is vacant commercial property to the east and a recently approved Heliogen site to the west. The applicant submitted for the request of a Type 20 ABC license on January 4th, 2022, which required a conditional use permit at the time of submittal. City Council since has adopted an ordinance amending the alcohol section of the code, October of 2022. A request for a Type 20 ABC license no longer requires a CUP for a convenience market, requesting only beer and wine. However, the given nature of the history of the revocation for this site, staff has elevated this request for Planning Commission to review and consider after the recommendation from City of Lancaster's Public Safety Department. The convenience market's daily hours of operation are from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. The walk-up window is no longer in use for sales. An alcohol display is located at the rear of the interior of the building and is less than 5% of total display area. The business will be required to comply with code as well as the added conditions of approval that have been drafted in conjunction with public safety. The majority of the sensitive uses are not within the 1,000-foot buffer of the subject site. The subject site is located within 100 feet of existing single-family homes and within 300 feet of an existing alcoholic beverage establishment. The property south of the site is under construction for a smog shop facility and has an existing office that would create a buffer between the project and the residential use. In addition, the residential uses north of the site are separated by Avenue K, which is a major arterial. The existing alcohol beverage establishment is located within an established shopping center located southeast corner of Avenue K and 6th Street East. Both the residential uses and that existing alcoholic beverage establishment are separated by the major streets and/or commercial uses that provide a safety buffer to soften the interface between the proposed project and the uses. Conditions number 22 through 31 are the added conditions of approval not traditionally included in CUPs for alcohol. Staff, Public Safety, and Sheriff's Department have worked with the applicant to mitigate specific concerns with the proposed alcohol. Specifically, Condition 31 calls for the immediate revocation of the CUP and business license by Planning Commission in the case that there is illegal activity or public nuisances should occur. In conclusion, staff recommends to adopt Resolution 2314 approving conditional use permit number 2201 to allow for the Type 20 alcoholic beverage control license for the off-sale of beer and wine within the existing gas station convenience market in the commercial zone located at 504 East Avenue K, APN 3126-007-041. Staff and the applicant are available for any questions you may have.
Any questions from the commissioners before I ask any? Go ahead.
I do. I got a letter here from, can I say her name? Can I say the name of the person?
You may.
All right, so I have a letter here from, it says Baby Girl. I guess somebody emailed it in. And it was regarding that the license was taken away due to serving of underage customers. So I just want to know more about this story, like what happened. Is anybody here?
We can defer to the applicant on that, Commissioner.
'Cause that's, I mean, they had the license before, am I right?
Correct.
So, I don't-
The applicant could, yes, go ahead and step forward, please, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Ralph Saltzman. I represent the applicant, and I represented the applicant in the ABC process so many years ago. It had nothing to do with sales to a minor. It was a case where I'll call it a customer, parked at the gas dispensary and refused to move for a very, very long time after repeated requests. My client, and this will never, it was a once in a lifetime and will never be repeated, I promise you, and she promises. She took a stick and hit the car. She was charged with malicious mischief in the ABC because of her plea of no contest in Superior Court. The ABC took away her license. Had nothing to do with the sales to a minor.
Yes, go ahead.
According to the letter, do you have a copy of the letter?
I can't hear.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Okay. Do you have you had a copy of the letter so you could see what the conflict is about?
No, the first I heard of it was just now.
Okay, the letter says that the establishment lost their license due to selling alcoholic beverages to an underage previously. This is the wording of the person who wrote the letter.
Well,
And she noted that this is a high-crime area.
I could answer both questions. One question is sales to a minor. I was there at the time the ABC revoked the ABC license, and that was for the vandalism charge, as I just indicated. I have a copy of the accusation, and I can read it in whole or in part. But the important language, this is actually the stipulation and waiver that no, I should have the accusation. Give me 1 second, please. Here it is. This was filed by the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control sometime around April of 2017. It alleges that on September 26th, and I'll paraphrase, but it was Tiffany No, was the subject of a plea, verdict, or judgment of guilty or pled nolo contendere to a public offense involving moral turpitude, to wit, vandalism, Penal Code Section 594. And it goes on to say that's grounds for revocation, which is exactly what the ABC did.
Okay, so there was no loss of license because of selling to underage clients?
No, the revocation was based upon this accusation.
Okay. I have a concern about the sheer number of businesses selling alcohol in that area. I'm very familiar with that area.
All right, now I missed it. Please, say again, please.
I'm very familiar with the area, the location that we're talking about, and I am concerned about the sheer number of places that are selling alcohol. And so how would this be any better?
Well, I'll defer in part to staff. They thought that the project had merit and that the ABC license should go forward with the blessing of this Planning Commission. In addition to that, this site, because of the history and the revocation process, where the location is, and then the general circumstances facing local law enforcement, this application received some special scrutiny, and there was some serious back and forth as to what would be acceptable conditions to local law enforcement to assure that sales alcoholic beverages would not be a detriment to this area specifically, and to the community, and to the city of Lancaster. So the professionals in local law enforcement and the professionals and staff, and we put our heads together. The conditions that are listed in the documents before you demonstrate a seriousness on the part of my client. She will strictly adhere to these very strict and comprehensive conditions to assure that the addition of beer and wine not only is not to the detriment of the local community, but it will assist her in her business, which means that a business that thrives is generally good for the community.
Okay, thank you
I
so
hope
much.
I didn't sound too much like a lawyer, but these are the things that were going on through staff and local law enforcement.
Thank you.
I do have another question. It sort of, I guess it caught me off guard that it was not actually what we were led to believe that it was based on the contested letter. So that did change my questions. And I am still curious, has this particular location ever lost its liquor license? Once? This is the one and done. This is a one-off totally.
This is that case.
Okay,
PC 594.
go ahead.
What, if anything, did ABC do or require of the applicant to reapply through their process, irrespective of what the city's done here?
It is actually a long, involved process, and as you can see, now 6 years have gone by, more than 6 years have gone by since the incident itself. The passage of time is a consideration by the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control when they're determining whether or not an applicant, after losing a license, has been sufficiently rehabilitated to warrant another license. It's a process. There's an exercise of discretion. In this instance, the ABC has accepted the application, partly because of the passage of time, partly because of conditions which the ABC will impose on this license, which are parallel now to the very strict and comprehensive, as I said, conditions imposed by the city. And it's the ABC's determination. Of course, this is not final until the license is issued, which doesn't happen until this Planning Commission acts affirmatively as well. But my understanding is the department is inclined to believe that my client has been sufficiently rehabilitated to warrant having an ABC license and be entrusted with the privilege that means.
I have a question. Just so I'm clear, so you've stated that the incident that took place as the reason why the license was lost had nothing to do with what this letter said. I guess I'm just curious, why is this just like a punitive action to lose your, because it seems like one isn't related to the other, meaning
I'm sure.
So what took place, the incident that you described, what does that have to do with losing your alcohol and beverage license? Why would that have been the reaction for something like that?
The ABC Act, Section 24200.5, mandates the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control to revoke, or at least gives them the authority, and they exercise that authority. In the instance where there is a crime involving moral turpitude, which is the allegation and the accusation, plea of guilty or no contest, or a conviction in court. In this instance, it was a plea of no contest. And believe it or not, vandalism is considered by the courts to be a crime involving moral turpitude because of the language of the statute itself. Vandalism isn't the word in the statute. The word in the statute is malicious, as in malicious mischief. It sounds like something a child would do, but in this instance, it was an adult. That was the charge, and that gave the ABC the authority, the power, and the discretion to exercise to revoke this license, and that's exactly what happened. Sales to a minor, that is a very serious, issue, and it generally results in payment of a fine if it happens once. If it happens twice within 36 months of the date of the first violation, then it can be a $20,000 fine. If it happens 3 times within 36 months, now the ABC by statute sees that there's a problem location at hand, they'll revoke the license. But generally, it's not an initial offense. I would suspect that with the 70,000 licensees in California, you'd get a fair handful if they sold minor to a minor once and lost their license, you'd have a fair handful of lost licenses. Unfortunate, but it's true. Kids can be pretty devious with false identifications and so on.
And so the period of suspension was 6 years? That's when you said this incident took place, in 2017?
Well,
revocation, I guess, was taken
yeah.
away.
In this instance, that much time has passed. I have seen in other instances less time, the passage of less time, where the department has decided that the applicant has been rehabilitated. It's a discretionary, and it's case by case. In this instance, based upon the type of the incident involved, and my client's good work since then, her licensing history, she's been there forever, and other factors and concerns that the ABC usually takes into consideration, they are in the position now of moving forward with her application, assuming that this planning commission allows it.
And it's to my understanding, if I heard correctly, 27 years she's been at this location, and there's been no incident other than this one?
She has been licensed here forever, and I could look that up. I think we said out
Well,
loud
so
a
just
few minutes
27
ago.
years, I feel like that's what I heard, yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, discussions? Okay, I find it appropriate. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Find it appropriate that we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and consider a motion. Were there any other speakers?
There were no speakers, but I wanted to make sure we opened up public comment.
Thank you. I can see the head nod, so I just, thank you. All right. Let's go ahead and consider a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 23-14, approving CUP number 22-01 to allow for a type 20 alcoholic beverage control license for the off-sale of beer and wine within an existing gas station convenience market in the commercial zone located at 504 East Avenue K.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Please vote. Motion passes 5 yes, 1 no. Conditional use permit number 22-07. Ms. Campagna.
Good evening, Vice Chair Harvey and members of the Planning Commission. This item before you is conditional use permit number 2207. The subject site is located at 42254 8th Street East, located along 8th Street East between Avenue L8 and Avenue L12. The applicant is requesting approval of an indoor cannabis cultivation, manufacturing, and self-distribution facility. The project would be gated and secured with lighting and cameras. In addition, the proposed project is consistent with the general plan and the municipal code. The applicant is also requesting approval for a waiver of distance requirements. The proposed project is located within 600 feet of legal nonconforming single-family residential uses. The surrounding properties are zoned heavy industrial and designated for heavy industrial uses. The proposed project's hours of operations would occur during similar operating hours of the neighboring industrial uses. While within the distance requirements, the proposed project would not affect the residential uses. So on the map that you see here, the subject site is in the star, and then the blue boxes are the residential homes, and then below are the green boxes, which are already approved cannabis facilities. With that, staff recommends that Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2315, approving CUP number 2207 to allow for the operation of an indoor cannabis cultivation, manufacturing, and distribution within an improved 15,002 square foot building and a waiver from distance requirements located at 42254 8th Street East. That concludes staff's presentation. Staff and the applicant are available for any questions.
I did struggle with the outline. So for the sake of identifying what's on this heat map from a distance perspective, since there's being asked to do a waiver, and we know how much I love waivers, not. Can we just identify the number as far as maybe homes or other facilities that are close by that warrant that distance waiver?
Sure. So the 3 boxes in blue are existing single-family homes. On the north, west of the property, and then a property south. And then in green, a little hard to see, but let me see if I can use the little pointer here.
It appears to be 2, but I'm not certain if I'm
Yeah.
seeing this correctly.
So it's this one right here. This is actually in operation already, and then we have another approved facility down below.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was missing. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Campagna. Any questions from the commission?
Yes, I do have a question. What is the distance that's being waived here? Is it a 500-foot, 1,000? Is there
It's 600.
a 600-foot? All
That's
right,
correct.
thank you.
Do we have any public safety concerns, Ms. Campagna, that we're aware of?
This was routed to public safety, and there were no concerns from the department.
Okay. Is the applicant in the room?
Yes, they are.
Do you mind coming up? Just have a quick question for you, please.
Hello.
You may not even need your book for this question that I have, actually. I was wondering if you had any other operating facilities.
Yes, yes, we do.
How many?
2.
So from a subject matter expert perspective, you're coming into this with at least a little bit of background knowledge.
History and experience, yes.
Got it, okay, understood. Any questions while I have the applicant from any other commissioners? Go ahead, continue. Where are the other facilities?
One in Adelanto, city of Adelanto, and then there's one in Sun Valley. Sun
What-
Valley.
What was the other one?
Sun Valley,
Sun Valley. So Adelanto being San Bernardino County, is that correct?
correct, yes.
Sun Valley, I believe that's LA County?
LA County.
Okay. Any other questions before I move forward?
I
Go ahead.
have one. So I understand that the indoor cultivation and manufacturing, but you're also, the license also provides for distribution as well.
Just transportation.
Just transportation
Just
from?
transportation,
So
correct.
there's no dispensary at
No,
the location?
no public access, that is just,
I have a question. How soon will this be built?
we hoping to break ground this year.
Another question. Why didn't you add on to Adelanto?
We wanted to expand and do more location in LA County, especially Lancaster.
Have you experienced any criminal activity in your Adelanto plant?
No, not at all, 0.
How about in your Sun Valley plant?
No.
Okay.
Because Sun Valley location is also just strictly cultivation. There's no dispensaries, so no public access. It's 24-hour guarded, armed guard security, heavy security, so no, nothing like that.
So how many employees do you envision?
30,
30 employees?
Correct.
How many guards?
3,
3 guards. Are they all on duty at the same time, or do they rotate, or what?
a rotate shift, yes.
Okay. What about the water for the facility?
We're planning to use recycled water, and we already have a water letter from the water company who already provided to us. So,
Okay.
but we're gonna use recycled water.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Campagna, this looks a lot similar to one we did, was it about a year or so ago? The indoor?
Yes, so last year we approved a cannabis cultivation indoor.
Okay, sounds a lot like this one, so I was just wondering. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Do we have any speaker cards?
We do. Thomas Lynch.
Welcome, Mr. Lynch.
Thank you. I live just south of where this facility is going in. There is an existing facility just to the south of my property. And I didn't fight that facility when it came in, but I have opposition to those kind of facilities now because you get up in the morning, you like to smell nice fresh air. And if you know what a skunk smells like, that's what the marijuana smell is at my house now, almost daily. We turned this into the city and AQMD, and it hasn't changed. So, you know, they need to do something with these facilities that people don't have to breathe this or smell this odor that comes out of them. I've lived there for over 50 years, I believe, something of that nature. And I recognize that it is a heavy industrial area. The other thing is this company that's south of me has a big generator humdrumming all day and all night. And, you know, not much I can do about that, but get used to it, I guess. But my opposition is the facilities go in, and that's all well and good, but then you have to put up with the smell around. And I invite anybody to come out there to my house anytime and smell that odor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's it?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, come on up. Mr. Lynch, the applicant would like to come up and address some of the comments.
What I wanted to say is that we have high-end, state-of-the-art filters. There's no way that smell's gonna be anywhere near the facility, outside the facility. So it's just, I don't know how the other business is operating, and he also mentioned generators. We're not gonna use any generators, and, you know, plenty of filters. There's no way that odor's gonna be like what he said.
But to that point, that's one of the reasons why I was sort of expressing, us underscoring where the, from an ordinance perspective, having to have an ordinance waiver, and where were the homes? Was there another facility close by? So basically, this does penetrate that distance, because you're asking for a distance waiver.
All right.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other speakers?
No more speakers.
Commissioners, any other questions?
I have a question for staff on his last comment with respect to the filtration. Is that part of the requirements the city is placing in for these kind of cultivation facilities, or is that not part of consideration for the city in planning?
That is something that we review. They have older filtration, and as part of their conditions, they have to have a negative pressure environment so that the air is not coming out. Also, as part of their conditions, if there's any detection of the odor, then it could be up for revocation.
Now, to Mr. Lynch's comment, is that true for the applicant that has already been approved in that area, to your knowledge?
I haven't heard anything about the odor detection, so I haven't received any complaints. If there were, we would go out to the site and we would check it out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
But, you know, to that point, though, is that something that we could consider having someone, you know, check in from the distance of Mr. Lynch's home to the existing?
Absolutely. We've taken down the exact address, and we can have code enforcement go out and verify.
Okay, all right, thank you. With that, unless there's any other speaker cards, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing and consider a motion.
I'll put forward the motion to adopt resolution number 2315, approving CUP number 22-07 to allow for the operation of an indoor cannabis cultivation, manufacture, and distribution within an approved 15,002 square foot building and a waiver for distance requirement located at 42254 8th Street East.
I second.
Please vote. Motion passes 4-2. All right, next on the agenda is conditional use permit number 23-001. Ms. Swain.
Good evening, Vice Chair Harvey and members of the commission. Before you this evening is conditional use permit number 23-001 for a 400 megawatt battery energy storage system facility located at the northwest corner of Avenue J8 and 90th Street West in the RR 2.5 zone. This facility would be charged from the grid and then discharge power into the grid when energy is needed. Two generation tie line options are proposed to connect the facility to the adjacent Antelope substation. The first option would run from the northwest corner of the facility, connecting to the adjacent substation property. This line would be approximately 454 feet long. The second option would run north along 90th Street West and then west along Avenue J to connect into the substation property around 100th Street West. This option is approximately 1.25 miles. Both options would be above ground. The battery storage facility is approximately 20 acres in size and consists of batteries installed in racks contained within battery enclosures, associated equipment such as transformers, outdoor electrical equipment, project substation, fire and thermal runway safety equipment, and an operations and maintenance office. A typical battery enclosure will house hundreds of battery modules, typically capable of storing between 0.4 and 5 megawatt hours of energy. Each enclosure is monitored and controlled and equipped with fire and safety systems such as heating, ventilation, and cooling, gas, heat, and smoke detection and alarms, and fire suppression. Landscaping will be provided along the 90th Street frontage. The proposed project will be monitored and operated remotely 24 hours per day, 7 days per week, from an off-site control center with no permanent on-site operations and maintenance personnel. The proposed project will include a small office and storage structure equipped with restroom facilities for temporary operations and maintenance staff. During the public review of the initial study, a total of 3 comment letters were received from the Antelope Valley Air Quality Management District, Caltrans, and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. These letters are routine, and all issues raised in these letters were addressed in the environmental document. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2316, approving conditional use permit number 23-001 for the construction and operation of a 400 megawatt battery energy storage facility on 20 acres in the RR 2.5 zone. I am available to answer any questions, as well as the applicant's team is present.
Thank you, Ms. Swain. I do have a couple of questions. I know in the past, I think we had 1 or 2 similar projects like this, and I personally was led to believe, not by city staff, of course, but someone had filled out a speaker card and said that there had been a fire at one of the facilities. So I'm wondering if there's any concerns with respect to the batteries overheating or catching fire. Is that something that the applicant has looked at or considered?
The applicant has looked at that. We have a total of 3 other facilities that have been approved for battery storage. 2 are on the other side of the substation, like right over here. And the one you're probably referencing was from the hearing in November.
Yes.
Staff has not been made aware of any instances of a battery overheating. However, the applicant does have procedures in place. Everything is UL compliant. They are also going to be complying with all state, county, and city fire codes. Specifically, Chapter 1206 of the California Fire Code relating to stationary electric energy storage systems, which addresses things like thermal runaway to prevent it from occurring or spreading to adjacent modules or properties.
All right, thank you. And I also wanted to know I always like to find out, we bring in all the technology. What's the decommissioning process? Has that been something that's been discussed? I know based on what I've read, it looks like this is something that we would be considering decades down the road. But what does that look like?
So there's no condition for decommissioning associated with this project because its lifespan is at least 20 to 30 years, and it will ultimately become an integral part of our electric grid. Batteries may change in and out, they may get upgraded, but the need to store that power to provide it at off-peak times when, similar to last, August, when it was very, very hot and the rolling blackouts, and this is designed to prevent that. Any decommissioning that occurs, if it's ever determined not to be needed, would be done in compliance with the laws and regulations at the time the decommissioning would occur. Those regulations are likely to be very different 20 to 30 years from now than the requirements are now. But the applicant is available and can answer any additional questions related to those.
Okay, there may be some other questions.
I got one question. If I was reading this right, it was talking about the Swanee Soulbird, Swain Hawk?
Swainson's Hawk?
Yeah. I'm sorry for chopping that up. But I don't know if I read right that they were foraging like maybe 2 miles away. Is that true, or is that just something that was just stated?
I think that was something that was stated. The biological report indicates that when they were doing the surveys for the Gentile lines, they did see one flying over. But there's really no suitable habitat on site for foraging, and there's definitely no suitable habitat for nesting on site. There are no known nests in the immediate area additionally, which is why staff is saying that the issue has been addressed.
Okay. I know they're pretty good at, guarding those off when they do have habitat. I just read that and I wasn't for sure if that was just stated. That was just my question. I'm satisfied.
Commissioner Underwood?
The project last November that we had come before us, there were several photographs that were attached to that project, and apparently those were issues that had to be met by the owners of the facility. Things like road repair, bushes, landscaping to make it look better for the community.
Correct.
And the photographs showed that those original requirements had not been met. And there was no discussion. I was brand new at that time, so I didn't really know what to ask. But there was no discussion about the road repair and maintenance and the water that flooded the general area when there was a big rain. So how does that play with this new facility?
Okay, for the first thing is any issues that other facility has can be addressed by contacting the applicant as the issues get brought up. This is a different applicant.
Right.
So they are not related at all. This applicant has similar conditions. They're required to install landscaping. They have a drainage basin on site that will be installed to ensure that there's, and it's right here, right on the edge here, to ensure that any stormwater, if it rains really hard and generated on the site, has a place to go that is not going elsewhere to affect other properties. So they do have the conditions and it will be handled.
So how does that handling of those issues, if they fall apart somehow along the line, how does that handling occur? Does somebody from the community have to make a complaint, or?
So if an inspector or a city staff is out and sees it, they'll notify the applicant. If a member of the public happens to see it and files a complaint, the applicant is notified and told that they need to correct it.
So apparently nobody notifies the city that
That
those
would be
things
my
need to be done.
assumption.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
So I guess I have a question regarding, you mentioned the method of linking in or bringing the power to it. There was a 450-foot and then a 1.5 mile. What's
Yeah.
the significance of the two options?
Edison gets to pick, is my understanding.
Okay.
And it's based on their study. The preferred route would be this, the short one. Easier to do, closer, but that would all be determined based on an engineering study with Edison and where Edison tells them that they have to connect. The other option is gonna be going all the way up here, across, and in.
And then that second option, does that run into any, we'll call it, I don't know if I got the right word, eminent domain of going through someone's property to put up towers of any sort?
No, I believe those would be installed on existing towers within the city's right of way.
Okay, thank you.
One last question. How close is this facility to housing in the area and also to Del Sur School?
So Del Sur School is at 90th and H, which is 2.5 miles to the north. The closest residential is right here at the corner. It's part of Del Sur Gardens, which is a, I'm gonna say RV park kind of campground facility. It's got some other commercial uses. And then it's not shown on the map, but down here on the east side of 90th, there's 2 single-family homes.
Are they very close?
Over 1,500 feet away.
Okay.
So about a quarter of a mile. They were notified. I received no comments from them.
Okay. If there was a fire, would they be in any kind of danger?
From my personal opinion, no. As it previously discussed, the battery enclosures have their own fire suppression system built into them. Additionally, there's water tanks on the site, which would connect to firefighting equipment in the event that there's a brush fire and they need to put it out. So most of that is handled through LA County Fire.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no further discussions, speaker cards?
There is one speaker card, Joseph Sullivan.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is, excuse me, Joe Sullivan. I work for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 11, and the National Electrical Contractors Association of Greater Los Angeles. This represents about 350 electrical contractors that employ or partner with approximately 10,000 union electricians. And we are here to speak in strong support of this conditional use permit for the 400 megawatt battery storage system. Not only are projects like these vital to meet our climate goals, protect public health by reducing the need for peaker plants, provide resiliency for our grid, and reduce curtailment of solar, which allows us to continue to construct more solar. Not only that, but these projects will create many high-road careers. And careers like these can really lift up communities. They pay family-sustaining wages, benefits, retirement. They include state-of-the-art apprenticeship training, and there are career advancement opportunities to move up and go along. In regards to the issue around safety, those are great points. We have National Electrical Contractors Association has people that sit on every safety panel on board across the country. Our contractors and electricians have been building these projects, these utility scale storage projects nationwide for a long time and know how to do it right and do it safely. So that's it. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any other speaker cards?
No other speaker cards.
And with that, we'll go ahead and consider a motion, please.
I move to adopt resolution number 23-16, approving CPU number 23-001 to allow the construction and operation of the 400 megawatt battery energy storage system facility on a 20-acre in the RR-2.5 zone located in the northwest corner of 90th Street West and Avenue J8, adopting the initial study mitigate negative declaration, approving the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, and authorizing staff to execute the notice of determination.
I second.
It's a lot.
Please vote. Motion passes 6-0. All right, our next item on the agenda is the Community Development Manager's announcement. Ms. De La Cruz.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. Nothing to report other than full agendas coming up. So consider yourselves warned. We are loaded and trying to balance the volume of items on each agenda so that they are manageable, but we are currently booked through September. So we have no breaks, unfortunately, this summer, which is a good thing for our development community, but I know it does take time, but just thank you and apologies in advance.
Vacations are overrated, that's what I hear. All right, thank you, Ms. De La Cruz. Public business from the floor. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the commission on any subject regarding city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the Planning Commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. Please complete the speaker card for the recording secretary. Speaker cards are available at the rear of the council chambers. Individual speaker cards limited to 3 minutes each. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes each unless different time is announced. Do we have any speaker cards?
There are none.
Didn't think so. With that, we'll stand adjourned to the special meeting on July 10th, 2023 at 5 p.m., 1700 hours for us military in the Lancaster City Hall chamber.